Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace back again with another DVD Blu-ray collections video. Within the next week or two I'm going to be collecting steel books as well. And I've been trying to decide the best way to handle indicating which videos have steel books in them and which ones don't. Because I don't want to change the name of the title of this series. What I've come up with so far is, say, DVD and Blu-ray collections video part 7, and then in parentheses Steelbook Fortifies for those who have steelbooks. You can let me know down there whether you think that's a stupid idea or a brilliant idea or whatever. Now I'm going to be shouting out two channels in this video, one in the UK and one in the US. Since I received a lot of subscribers from the UK when I first started this channel, I'll start there. The channel in the UK that I'm shouting out is called Cessnaace. Now I've been subscribed to him for quite some time, a long time. As you can gather from his name, he is into retro gaming, and specifically he loves the SNES, the Super Nintendo. In fact, his collection of SNES games is beautiful. He has them all boxed, original boxes, and then he has them in the protective clear sleeves that you can buy, cases. Really clear, transparent cases. And he has them all up on shelves, and his collection just looks beautiful. So if you're into the Super Nintendo and retro gaming, you might want to check out Cessnaace. Now the channel here in the US, Adam Spence. I've known Adam for a long time as well. We both belong to a group. A number of people belong to this group, actually. I haven't participated actively in quite some time, but I am a member of this group. The group is comprised of myself, Adam Spence, Gamer Jitsu, Jay Blackheart, and a number of others. And it's called, I don't use strong language on this channel, so I'll say the Bull SHIT Gamers. Now, for whatever reason, they took to calling me Papa Smurf within this group. But we were doing podcasts on Skype, and then Adam would take the footage. He would take footage from our channels, and he would use graphics, and he would put together these videos that were basically a Reader's Digest version of our podcast. His channel primarily concentrates on gaming and laserdiscs, and I'm afraid I'm to blame for him getting into laserdiscs. For a while I was sending him boxes of laserdiscs that I had duplicate copies of, and he was nice enough to send me some boxes in response, or in return, of vinyl LPs, which I really appreciated. Don't tell him this though. He didn't really need to do that. I was more than happy to send him duplicate copies of laserdiscs. Anyway, Cessnaace and Adam Spence. Links down there. Now, I have been trying to decide whether to bring this up. I finally decided that I would. I normally don't look at the number of subscribers that I have. I normally don't go into the analytics. I just go about my business, uploading videos and commenting to people's videos, and I try and reply to every comment made to the videos that I do. But I noticed recently that while the last time I had looked, I was close to 2,000 subscribers. And I noticed I've lost over 300 subscribers. So I went into the analytics to try and determine what was going on. And if you look at the graph for the number of subscribers that I have, it's a flat line, and then it'll spike straight up and then right back down again to the flat line. I'll go over, and then I'll go straight down, straight back up, and go spike up, spike down, and over and over again. Although obviously the spike downs are more in number than the spike ups, because otherwise I wouldn't have lost 300 subscribers. Lately I have been getting a lot of new subscribers, which I greatly appreciate. I appreciate all of my subscribers. So if you have subscribed to my channel lately, then I really appreciate it. But at looking at my videos, I cannot determine a rhyme or a reason as to what's going on. What videos are turning people off and which videos are turning people on, and what am I saying that is turning people off. I'm not going to say what am I saying that turns people on, because I'm an old man. But at looking at my more popular videos, there is no rhyme or reason. The 8th most watched video, and don't worry, I have plenty of DVDs and Blu-rays to show, is a video called Banned in the USA, Disney Film Song of the South. In that video I talked about how Disney has sworn that they will never ever let it be seen in the US again. Not in theaters, not on TV, not on video, not in a classroom of film students, nothing. It's readily available in numerous countries, but not here. I have a Japanese import. At the time, it was the only known Japanese import of Song of the South, but since then, I believe 2 more have been found, and a Hong Kong release has been found. Anyway, that has 3,132 views. Then there's Cleaning an NES Cartridge and Label, 4,531 views. There's the video where I compare my Japanese Sega Master System with my Western Sega Master System, Model 1. That has 6,004 views. There's a video where I played the 12-inch maxi single in its entirety of the Falco song, Rock Me Amadeus, the American edit. It has 6,993 views. Zuma Deluxe Play video, 7,260 views. Ultraman VCDs from Movie Freak, 5150. He sent me over 100 and maybe close to 150 Ultraman and Godzilla VCDs. These are pre-records, not pirated copies. 27,059 views. I did a review of the GameCube game, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. No play footage, I just talked. 39,666 views. And my top watched video is a Laserdisc clip video. Sadly, I've had to take most of my Laserdisc clip videos down because of YouTube and copyright issues, but that hasn't happened with this one. It's a Laserdisc clip video, and I show in its entirety a Beetle Bailey made for television cartoon from the 60s. And it looks beautiful. That Laserdisc looks beautiful, stunning. Anyway, 48,558 views. Normally, I'm around 100 to 200 views on my videos. So, based on this list that I just read out to you. There's no rhyme or reason to my videos, which ones are going to be popular and which ones aren't. So this is where the favor comes in. If you please comment below, or even better, if you do a response video about it, I would greatly appreciate it, because I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what is going on as far as the number of subscribers that I have on my channel. I know everybody loses subscribers and gains subscribers, and loses and gains and loses and gains, but to this degree it doesn't make sense. Okay, this video is going to have a lot of Jerry Anderson stuff in it, but not exclusively. I have enough DVDs and Blu-rays here to fill 6 50-minute videos. So here we go. These are US issues. Thunderbirds, Set 1 from A&E. I bought these used for about $60 a piece, and it's turned out to be a good investment, because not only do I love the series, but my kids both love this series, and so each of these sets has been viewed hundreds of times. This is Thunderbirds Set 2. There were 2 seasons of Thunderbirds, and sadly the series was canceled within season 2, because Jerry Anderson's backer, Lou Grade, and his outfit, ITC, could not find an American outlet for this series. Originally it was going to be a half-hour series, and Lou Grade, and they had produced the first few in half hours, and Lou Grade said, make these an hour, because it'll be easier to sell in America. They needed the American market because this series was very expensive to produce. In fact, I talked with Jerry Anderson on Prodigy. Remember Prodigy? Years ago. And he mentioned that if the series were produced today, that was years ago, to the same production standards, it would cost well over $1 million per episode to produce. So they needed the American market, because the series was so expensive to do. They were very meticulous with this series. You can tell that a lot of effort went into it. So what they did was they padded out the first few that they'd already produced with extended launch sequences for the various Thunderbird craft, and filmed a few other scenes and padded them out to an hour, and then from then on they produced hour-long episodes. But I worked in television 25 years, and my opinion is, for what it's worth, the series would have been easier to sell in the US had it been half an hour. Because hours, you have to look at things from the television station program director's point of view. Finding a slot for an hour show is harder than finding a slot for a half-hour show. As I said, that's just my opinion. Did I show this already? Set 3. Now, ITC had a lot of success getting British shows on American television. A lot of shows on American television in the 60s and 70s especially. So it's kind of interesting that this is a series he wasn't able to sell in the American market. I happen to love the series. This is set 4. They are currently remaking this series. I think they did a remake of Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. It was CGI, but I haven't ever seen a copy of an episode, so I don't know if they actually did or not. But they are currently remaking Thunderbirds at Pinewood that combines live action with CGI. And that is set to premiere in the UK. It's either 2014 or 2015, but I think it's 2014. But so far, there is no American outlet for that remake. Hopefully, it does so well in England that the Sci-Fi Network or somebody picks it up. Set 5. Another had been a Japanese animated Thunderbirds series, but I've only seen clips of that, not entire episodes. This is the final set, set 6. Here's Lady Penelope. And her Rolls Royce. And they had to have the design of their futuristic Rolls Royce approved by Rolls Royce. That has the Rolls Royce emblem on it, on the grill in the front. If you've seen the movies they made in the 60s, United Artists funded 2 movies of the Thunderbirds that used supermarionation, the same as the series. Thunderbirds are go, and Thunderbirds 6, and I'll have to talk to her later. Thunderbirds 6, there's a shot in there that must have been a pain to do, because at one level they had Lady Penelope's Rolls Royce going down the road, and up above that they had, I believe it was Thunderbirds 1 and Thunderbird 4 pacing her at low altitude. And then above that they had another craft that was following them, giving them an aerial escort. So you had the car moving, and you had these air vehicles moving, and then you had another air vehicle moving. Really, really cool. And it must have been a pain to do. I can't resist. Thunderbirds fan. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go! Okay, now while you had Jim Henson advancing the art of hand puppets, you had Jerry Anderson advancing the art of marionettes. And this series takes it a step further. I don't think this was yep, it says filmed in supermarionation, but the heads are smaller. They had advanced to the point where they could put their motors inside that made the lips move. that were synced up with a tape recorder that had the soundtrack on it. And so the mouths would move in sync with what the characters were saying. They did that with Thunderbirds too. But they had miniaturized everything to the point where they were able to make the heads lifelike and proportional in size to the figures. Does that make sense? Anyway, this is Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. I believe they added a bit for the American release. Captain Scarlet is invincible, or indestructible. You are not. Apparently, they think Americans are too stupid to know that you can't do some of the things that they do in this show. But this is a very well-produced show. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Okay, another Jerry Anderson series. Lou Grade had been pushing Jerry Anderson for years to start producing in live action. And he was putting it off and putting it off until he felt comfortable doing it. Now, this isn't the first series that he did that was live action. I believe that was The Protectors. That's what I think it was called. Anyway, I don't have a copy of any episodes of The Protectors, so I don't know. But I have seen clips of it on YouTube, and it looks great. This series, this is the complete series of UFO. Well, it's not. It's set one. See, I contradicted myself. This has, what does this have? 13 episodes. Commentary by creator Jerry Anderson on the premiere episode, Identified. Alternate video outtakes. Jerry Anderson biography and filmography. Production stills, photo gallery, interactive menus, and scene selection. What's really cool is there's an alternate opening that you can choose for the pilot episode that starts off more violent than the other opening, the opening they used. By the way, this series, Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, the opening for this series, the opening credits sequence bit, was a temporary thing. It was not meant to be permanent, but it was meant to be used in the interim until they produced the actual opening. But so many people liked the opening that was made, the temp opening, that it became the opening. And I like it. I think it's a really cool opening. Okay, this is another series I'm going to have to finish. I have most of the series on Laserdisc. There were only 2 episodes they didn't release on Laserdisc, and that was because Image Entertainment would have had to pay a bucket full of money to get the rights to it because it had been chopped up and made into a movie for television sale. And so to get the rights to that, they would have had to have paid a lot more. And the series didn't sell all that well to begin with. In fact, I think it was one of the lowest run series that Image put out. By that I mean the fewest amount of copies made per volume. Talk about Space 1999. The original concept for this series was that it was going to be a sequel or a follow-up series to UFO. Because Jerry Anderson noticed that the episodes that were heavily set on the moon garnered higher ratings in the US than those that didn't. So it was going to be set on the moon, and it was going to be called UFO 1999. Eventually, that morphed into Space 1999. That is set 1. And this is set 2. That gets us through episode 12. So, not even halfway through the first year. And it was a show that had 2 years, although Jerry Anderson in later years said he preferred the first series of Space 1999 over the second. And I agree with him. I prefer the first year as well. This series was another that advanced the art of supermarionation from Jerry Anderson. This is the entire series of Joe 90. Okay. The complete first season of Starsky and Hutch. This includes original TV promo spots, exclusive new interviews with David Soul and Paul Michael Glaser, featurette Starsky and Hutch, the movie featurette, It's Harder Than It Looks, featurette The Third Star, and making of Behind the Badge. It's a making of documentary called Behind the Badge. But they worded it weird. Okay, this next series is a British sitcom that had extremely high ratings, but it was extremely controversial. It was on Thames Television, and I believe it was their highest rated show at the time, and in any event they canceled it while it was still top of the chart, so to speak. The reason was any slang word, British slang word that you can think of for a black person is spoken in this series. This series, by the way, was remade for the US, but that didn't last long, which is usually the case. You would think that this is the inspiration for All in the Family, but that series was inspired by the British series Till Death Do Us Part, I believe is the name of it. Anyway, I'm talking about Love Thy Neighbor. This is PAL Standard. So I imported it. I imported this years ago. And it's region coded 0. So all regions. You just have to be able to play PAL. Oh, and if an American series or if American producers had made this show, they would have done things completely differently. Because the white racist is a member of the Labor Party. And the black guy, right there, can't say African American because he's not an American. Anyway, he is a member of the Tories. is very conservative. In the States, that would have been the other way around. There are 7 episodes plus the original pilot. This is the very original pilot episode that has never before been broadcast and is presented here for the first time. In this episode, pilot episode, Gwendolyn Watts plays Edie's wife, Joan. So casting change there. After that, the pilot. Did I show the complete second series? These were put out by Fremantle Media. Right below that it says Thames. Sorry, it's pronounced Thames. But watching this, I was shocked by all the racial slurs. It's like, they let that on television in England? It's really funny, but anyway. Next up is a DVD that I could have well been in, but I'm not. But I do know 4 of the people that were talked to in this documentary. They weren't featured in the documentary, but they were spoken to. So yes, I know 4 people who they interviewed in Trekkies. I know a 5th person who could have been interviewed, but she said every time she saw the camera crew, she ran in the opposite direction. She famously wore that uniform while on jury duty. I'll have to call her back. Okay. I love this. Stop motion animation done by Rankin Bass for theatrical release. Mad Monster Party. There was a television station in Renton, Washington, which is a suburb of Seattle, that ran this every single day at the same time. And it's a musical. Even Boris Karloff, the Boris Karloff lookalike, is played by Boris Karloff. And Monster's mate, who looks like Phyllis Diller, is voiced by Phyllis Diller. This was a successful film. Incidentally, there was a made-for-TV follow-up that uses traditional animation. I still haven't opened this and watched it, called Mad, Mad, Mad Monsters. Kind of a take on the title of the movie, Mad, 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 Mad World. Except one was mad. But the weird thing is, all the characters that were killed off in this are alive in this. So go figure. This was put out by Classic Media. Okay, I've shown these before in other videos, so I'll go fast. How'd that happen? I was sure I had the first season. Anyway, the Bob Newhart Show, the complete second season, opened and watched. The complete second season, sealed. I'm going to rectify that. The complete third season, the complete fourth season. And I believe the series ran longer than that. So I've got some buying to do. Okay. Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico. I think we have this on DVD. This is on Blu-ray. Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire on Blu-ray. Okay. This is IP Man. IP Man. This was a great buy. I'm not going to go over them all, but there are 50 horror films that make up this collection. It's on 10 discs, if I remember correctly. 12 discs. No, it's on 12 discs. I hadn't opened this yet, but my eldest daughter has gotten into this series, and so she opened it and watched it. Forensic Files. This is the longest running series of its type in America. It's run for well over 12 years. This is serial killers from stranglers to snipers. 12 episodes, if I forgot to say. This is the complete season 1 of The Muppet Show. What's cool here is they have the original Muppet Show pilot, which didn't air. They have a gag reel, and what I found really interesting is the original Muppet pitch reel, the presentation by Jim Henson that started it all. This actually used the newscaster character from the Muppet Show, and he starts off very plainly talking about how the producer behind the series is the same man who produced the hit series Laugh-In, and he starts talking directly to the heads of each of the 3 networks that we had at that time, and he gets more and more frantic and more exuberant as you get into it, and finally that whole thing's going nuts. Typical Jim Henson stuff, but it's hilarious. The complete first season of Taxi. Gladiator with Russell Crowe. By the way, a little trivia. Did you know that when he got married, they had I think they had hired a cover band to do it, but they played the ABBA song, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, at Russell Crowe's wedding. Okay, well, this, when it was originally released, had 3 different endings. And this is actually a really good movie. My wife and I both love this movie. Clue, the movie. Now, depending on which theater you saw it in and at what time, you would get a different ending. Theoretically, you would never know which ending you would get. When it was released on video, they would combine all 3 endings in a strange sort of way. Now, they've got this is in widescreen. You can use one of the alternate endings at random, and it'll choose at random which one it uses. Or you can watch it the way it's typically been shown on television and on home video, using all 3 endings. This has a wonderful cast. By the way, produced by Deborah Hill. Horror fans should know her name. Story by John Landis and Jonathan Lynn. Screenplay by Jonathan Lynn. But the cast includes Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Leslie Ann Warren. Music by John Morris. And the whole cast is really good. Tim Curry is a standout, and so is Madeline Kahn. I think they remade that movie, didn't they? Still haven't opened this, and I don't know why. The complete series of the Hanna-Barbera classic, Wacky Races. I still contend that Dastardly was based on late British comedic actor Terry Thomas, which would make Muttley Eric Sykes. Now, that had 2 spin-off series. Now, I've only got one of them, but it's the complete series of Dastardly and Muttley in Their Flying Machines is what the series is called. And Terry Thomas and Eric Sykes appeared together in the film Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. So that just reinforces my opinion. You can take it or you can leave it. Okay, sci-fi collector's set. This includes Leeches, rated R for some violence and drug content, 2003. The Cold Equations, not rated, violence, no copyright date. Last Lives, adult situations, violence, from 1998. And Firehead, starring Christopher Plummer, Martin Landau, and Chris Lemmon. All 3 of which I've heard of. Rated R for language. No date. Cast isn't as strong on the other films. Okay. The 70s. Bell bottoms to boogie shoes. I lived through the 70s. Graduated high school in the 70s. Graduated from university in the 70s. Tail end of the 70s, but still. This is from Sinister Cinema, 79 AD. The thing about their DVDs is, apart from the fact that they're on DVD-Rs, they have a generic thing on the back. It says the same thing on every single one. From Sinister Cinema, The World 1,000 Years from Now. It's actually called 1,000 Years from Now, but they added the world there on their ad campaign. And it's also known as Captive Women, according to the spine. Okay. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Tall Tales. This features 4 episodes. And is from End Circle Entertainment. Originally made by Deke, which some people would mispronounce their name because it's spelled D-I-C. I'm not going to tell you how they would pronounce it probably, but it's pronounced Deke. And at one time Deke was owned by Disney, but Disney eventually sold Deke. Okay, I have this on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and now Blu-ray. The Silent Adventure. As I mentioned in a previous video, I saw this in the theater. I thought the opening sequence before the ship capsized was rather weak, but I love the rest. Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Red Buttons, the lovely Carol Lindley, Roddy McDowell, and I can't make out that last name, Stella Stevens, Shelley Winters, Jack Albertson, Pamela Sue Anderson, Pamela Sue Martin, Eric Shea, and Leslie Nielsen. I skipped over one, but who cares? Okay, this stars Shrek and Company, and it includes a parody of Michael Jackson's Thriller, Scared Shrekless. Also has a Psycho parody. Oh no, don't go to the Boots Motel. Movie that I really like, although some people don't. The Car. Originally produced by Universal. This was released under license by Anchor Bay. And The Car from Universal. A lot of horror movies being made at the time that this was made. But this is the only one that could say that it had as a technical advisor a member of the Church of Satan. Leave that up to you as to whether that's a plus or a minus. Now, this movie I love and I hate. It depends on what mood I'm in. Widescreen, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, 50 First Dates. I love the cover version, though, at the end of What a Wonderful World, which was originally done by Louis Armstrong. "12 Rounds, Extreme Cut." James Garner, Eva Marie Saint, and Rod Taylor in the excellent 36 Hours. Highly recommend 36 Hours. If you haven't seen 36 Hours, you need to watch 36 Hours. Have I made it clear that I like 36 Hours? Well, I do. The Avengers, 1964, Set 1. This is a U.S. release. This was when Patrick McNeese, who played John Steed, his sidekick, was played by Honor Blackman, who would, of course, go on to appear in Goldfinger as Pussy Galore. Set 2, 1964. There she is again. '67, Set 1. Now we're into the Diana Rigg episodes. Over 14 hours, martial arts masters Bruce Lee, Sonny Chiba. This has the real Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, the man, the myth. Fist of Fury. Bonus feature, Bruce Lee biography. Street Fighter, Return of the Street Fighter. Sister Street Fighter. Bonus features, Sonny Chiba biography. Shogun's Ninja. Ninja Wars. Rage of the Masters. Bonus feature, The History of Martial Arts. Sherlock Holmes collection with Peter Cushing as not as Dr. Watson. Sorry to make a mistake, because he did play Dr. Watson in some Sherlock Holmes adaptation I saw. But he plays Sherlock Holmes in this series. Unfortunately, not all of this series survives. These are the episodes that survive. Chips, the complete Series 1 or Season 1. This was released about 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago. And they followed it with the complete second season. And then they stopped. Because the third season starts off with a 2-hour special. And it has a huge guest star cast. And a lot of music from the period was used. And to secure all the rights, they determined that the series didn't sell as well on DVD, not well enough to warrant the release of Season 3. But I contend they could release Season 3 without it, without the premiere episode, and release the premiere episode by itself. Maybe they could do it that way. This is a really good movie. I have it on Laserdisc. I have it on VHS. Stars Robert Shaw, Bruce Dern, Martha Keller. It's in widescreen. Black Sunday. Get your minds out of the gutter. That's a blimp. Well, some of you might have flashed back to Woody Allen's Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. There's a certain sequence in there. Okay, I wish I had the complete run of this series, but I don't. This is the complete Series 1 PAL Standard of Blake 7. But this series is famous for, the overall series is famous for killing off the entire cast. Okay, this is the complete Series 2 of Blake 7. It's well worth watching, even though no one comes out of it alive. I don't know what happened with that. I'll have to show it later. More engineering disasters. This is from the History Channel. Howard Hughes and the Spruce Goose. Television Window to the World. Angels, Good or Evil. Potions or Poisons. Concorde Alpha Delta, an intrepid journey. This is how they got one of the SSTs to its final resting place in the U.S. for the USS Intrepid, which has been turned into a floating museum of aircraft. This is the Haunted Histories collection from the History Channel. Vampire Secrets. Hauntings. Poltergeist. Yes, this is part of the same box set. I'm putting it right back where it was originally when I opened it, right in the middle. Salem Witch Trials. And the Haunted History of Halloween. Save that for later. Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowell. 35th anniversary full screen edition, unfortunately, of Planet of the Apes. I only paid $3.99 for it, and it's on 2 discs, and it has a ton of extras. So, I love this movie. Some critics loved it when it came out. Some hated it. Some hated it because the language in the screenplay is contemporary, whereas it's not telling a contemporary story. Anyway, Paul Newman and Robert Redford in a special edition of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. A lot of interesting things about this film. This, by the way, includes a lengthy documentary that was made at the time for Canadian television. No, not Canadian television. It was made for film schools. A 45-minute documentary is all it says here. And audio commentary by director George Royhill, Hal David, Robert Crawford, and Conrad Hall. Includes the original theatrical trailer. One of the neat things, or interesting, offbeat things about this film is that, with 3 exceptions, there is no music in this movie. No incidental music. There are 3 montage sequences that is all music with no dialogue or any ambient sounds, just the music. This is the film that the hit song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" came from. You might be thinking, well, how could they put that in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is, at least in the end, very violent, but director George Royhill mentions, I don't remember, he mentioned it in the documentary. That's where he mentioned it. They had to film a sequence in Mexico, because it would have been illegal in the U.S. I forget what he called it, but they rig wires to the front legs of the horses. And when they want the horses to fall, they yank on them and pulls the legs out from under the horses, and they go down in spectacular fashion. That has been illegal in the U.S. for a long time. It was already illegal when this was made in the 60s because it can cause irreparable damage to the horse. So that was, he shot that in Mexico. Where it wasn't illegal. Stories of Lost Souls. We have so many adaptations of this story on DVD. This is the one with Jackie Chan. Widescreen presentation of Around the World in 80 Days. Okay, we have Dish Network, and Dish is constantly adding new channels, and one of the channels they carry is called Rural TV. Rural TV runs stuff exactly like this. I think I paid about $5 for this set at Best Buy. Shortliners of the South. Won't bother showing the rear because there's no pictures or anything. Steam Giants Across America. Twilight of Steam. And Steam in the 50s and 60s. Okay, I don't have time to get to all of that. Well, I'll do this one. And this one. And this one. This is the complete original series of the original George of the Jungle. Each episode was comprised of 3 shorts. One would be a George of the Jungle, one would be Tom Slick, and the other one was Super Chicken. And no, I'm not going to try and sing the theme to Super Chicken because it's fast. You have to be able to sing fast. And I can't sing. I can't sing. I can't even talk fast. I should sing fast. 17 episodes. The reason there are so few episodes is because even though it was a hit series, This was produced by the same guy who produced Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends, and that had to be animated in Mexico because of budgetary constraints. In fact, their sponsor was insisting on it because they owned an animation studio in Mexico. But he had such nightmares producing that out of Mexico because there were a lot of continuity errors and color shifts where the wall behind one character would be blue, and then the next shot it would be purple, and the next shot it would be white, and then the next shot it would be purple again. And so he elected to have the pilot episode animated in America. And he was so thrilled with the results that he kept animating the series in America, which was expensive. And so even though it was a hit series, it was losing money. He continued it on as long as he could financially. But by episode 17, there was just no way to keep going. But if you've never seen the original George of the Jungle, Friend to You and Me, check this out. I especially love the ending. Where they have the cars, real life cars crashing, and two trains head-on collision. A car going up a ramp and then flying down and landing. It's all cut to the music, and I think it's cool. I thought it was cool when I was a kid. Okay, here's Pierce Brosnan in Around the World in 80 Days. We must have half a dozen Around the World in 80 Days. And this is a documentary on the whole video nasties brouhaha that took place in England, where they banned, I think it was 72 movies, 72 horror movies, all but one of which came from either the U.S. or I think it's either Spain or Italy where the others came from. But most of them came from America. Video Nasties. This is a limited edition copy. This is number 3,589. I think they either made 4,000 or 5,000. Disc 1 is Video Nasties, More Panic, Censorship, and Videotape. That is the documentary on the whole thing. And then there are 50 minutes of pre-certified video company idents, which are, the home video logos that would start on the tape. 50 minutes of those. Image gallery featuring artwork from the 80 titles included on the DPP's Section 3 list. Total running time of Disc 1, 3 hours. Disc 2, original trailers plus newly filmed introductions to the 39 nasties that were successfully prosecuted in UK courts and deemed liable to deprave and corrupt. That's cool. You can either select to watch the trailers without the review, or you can do it with the review. I prefer doing it with the reviews because they're really good. Image gallery featuring artwork from all 39 video releases. Original English subtitles for trailers. Running time of Disc 2 over 5 hours. Disc 3, original trailers plus newly filmed introductions to the 33 nasties that were initially banned but then subsequently acquitted and removed from the DPP's list. Image gallery featuring artwork from all 33 releases, optional English subtitles for trailers, Running time over 4 hours. Total running time 13 hours and 25 minutes. Now, this is weird. I didn't notice this before. This came from the UK. That's where it came from. It's region coded region 1. I have never noticed that before. And it's PAL standard. I don't know if you can make that out with my camera, but it says PAL. And it has a UK rating of 18, meaning you have to be 18 to buy this. It says encoded region 1. That is weird. I'm probably not going to be able to make that out either. Yeah, what's cool about this is it came with, in addition to the 3 discs, reproductions of lobby cards to some of the banned films. These are all postcards. But I don't know anyone nutty enough to use it as a postcard. It's collectible. I think I have this movie on DVD. Cannibal Holocaust. The Driller Killer. I was working at Channel 17, the first station I worked for, when this came out, and the commercial for it came in on 16mm film, and the station manager came in and he said, load this on a projector. I want to see this before I put it on the air. And he ran the commercial and he said, we are not airing that. No way. It was a commercial for I Spit on Your Grave. Okay, Damaged Brain. And Strong Uncut version. Zombie Flesh Eaters. Okay, that is all we have time for today, because as you can see, this went really long, and it's going to wind up taking 87 hours to upload. Until next time, stay awesome, and peace.